Today I'm joined by Mr. Gys Joubert, currently serving as the Managing Director of Gondwana Collection, Namibia, one of the leading hospitality groups in the country. With over 10 years of experience in the banking and legal fields, he has extensive knowledge in commercial law. In 2017, he formally took over the reins as MD of Gondwana Collection, Namibia, prior having walked a path with the company as a non-executive director. He describes himself as an idealist with a strong moral code. In his own words, he hopes for the Gondwana brand to bring true and holistic humanity to the corporate world and always representing a force for good. His overarching vision, however, does not only apply to the in-house brand but extends far beyond Gondwana Collection, Namibia, to the country and all her people. Mr. Joubert, thank you very much for joining us this morning and welcome to 99 FM.
Thank you, Shay. Thank you so much for having me.
The Royal Hustlers is where we get to know the other side of the guys who sit in the big office. But obviously, listening to a little bit of your story, it means that you're more of a guy who's on the ground with the people. Let's start at the beginning of your journey. Tell us about your childhood, where you were raised, and what kind of a kid you were as a kid.
Shay was actually born in Johannesburg. Not a lot of people know that or knew that. Maybe now all the F99 listeners here. Yeah. But we moved to Namibia when I was 2 years old, even less than 2 years old. So Namibia is all that I've known all my life. You know, heart and soul. Namibian, grew up in Windhoek. A very happy childhood. I grew up in Windhoek West. You know, the Van Rijn Primary School, Jan Boer High School. So well, back in the day, I'm not sure how it works today, but it was on the wrong side of the railway tracks, and I loved that. I loved how my environment shaped who and what I am. Yeah. So very, very happy childhood, and like most Namibians, or probably all Namibians, grew up in the sun. You know, grew up in nature, outdoors, and that's what shaped me.
Yeah. Tell us about some of your biggest dreams. Well, being a young guy out there, young Noord and at Van Rijn, what were some of the things you dreamt about becoming when you grew older?
I really reflected, you know, on that question, and I can't really remember. The one thing that comes to mind is that, so I think like most teenagers, you know, I was still very confused in terms of what I want to do with my life. But the one thing I do remember, and again, probably not unlike most teenagers, I wanted to be different. You know, I didn't simply want to conform. You know, the white picket fence in suburbia, I thought that would never be. While today I've got a lovely wife and 3 children and even 2 dogs, so I've been domesticated. Yeah, so, but that's, yeah, always wanted to be different, but didn't really have specific dreams you know, as a teenager.
You know, that's a time when you're only trying to figure it out.
Absolutely,
by then, yeah.
And that was me. Absolutely.
Yeah. So while we were trying to figure it out, many teens in their time had like a side hustle. We call it like a Zula on the streets. Tell us about, did you have something like that where you had to go in and just make a little extra money for yourself or whatever?
Yes. So when I did my articles as a legal clerk, you know, tiny salary. So my parents are from a farm, so we did some side hustle where we sold wood, driving around in Windhoek after work, knocking on doors, selling wood, and we even one year we got a permit. And we sold wood on the pavement in Swakopmund in the beginning of December. So interesting times.
Yeah, that's a hustle and a half, no doubt. Having to walk up to people's doors, would you like wood? No doubt about that. Tell us about what motivates you on a daily basis. What is the thing that drives you, that you kept going with you since you were a kid, maybe, that motivates you to do what you do today?
So, you know, I've always said that I want to live a purposeful life. I think I was lucky. You know, we all go through this journey in life, and we ask those deep and difficult questions in terms of what is my purpose, why am I here. I'm not you know, I'm not a very materialistic person. So I love purpose. You know, in terms, I love a life of substance, and that just means you know, making a difference to the people around us. And in a Namibian context, fortunately or unfortunately, there are many opportunities, to help our fellow Namibians out there. And also in terms of, my role at Gondwana as a leader, there's probably nothing more noble and scary than the fact that your decisions have an impact on people's lives. I love that part. I love the responsibility that comes with that, but I mostly love to see the impact of that. You see how people flourish, and how they become these amazing leaders and people in themselves. So that's a huge blessing in my life.
As the managing director of Gondwana Collection Namibia, what is the most fulfilling aspect of your job?
I think it's exactly that. Gondwana has always, over 25 years, in fact, we've always believed that the best investment that you can make is in your people, and I think we're living proof of that. So we make, and to see the result of those investments. My colleagues around me, and all over Namibia, and you see how people just become the best version of themselves. Once you empower them, and when I say investment in people, yes, there's an element of technical training, but mostly our training is about the human being. It's about the soul. And for people to tap into that inner potential and to see that coming out, and you see the people around you, colleagues of mine, they're just becoming these amazing, human beings, but also leaders, and the impact that they have on their teams. It's really a privilege to be a witness to that.
And when you engage the Gondwana Collection, Namibia brand, then you can see and feel that in the people that you work with. Now, it's been a hard year over the last year and a half almost for tourism. How did the Gondwana Collection change the way it operates in order to mitigate the challenges of the coronavirus pandemic, most especially the drop in tourist numbers?
So I think very early on, when this wave hit us, we sat around the table, and I vividly remember the day, and I remember how easy it was when we said retrenchment is not us. In terms of what we've just said, and yes, we are idealists, but we're also business people, and we truly understand the biggest asset of our company. It is our culture, it is our people, it is the solidarity that we have in the company. So first and foremost, our first priority was always the preservation of Gondwana. Obviously, if there's no Gondwana left, there's no future left for any of us. In terms of, and I'm not talking about the employees, I'm also talking about the communities and where we live and invest. So we had to hustle. We said that we have no more business. There's no more tourism. In fact, tourism was outlawed at the time. So we have to be creative. We had the saying internally where we said, 1,100 tourism employees overnight turned into 1,100 artists because we had to hustle. So obviously massive cost cuts, including our own benefits and our own salaries. Where again, in terms of solidarity, everyone the same, except for executive management, we took a bigger cut than the rest of the people. And then the creativity, cross training. There are no silos left in Gondwana. We have the saying where we say, stick your nose into other people's business. So if you are a housekeeper, now you get training on the computer system. And as an example. So it was really being creative, standing together in solidarity, and obviously cutting costs to the bone.
Yeah. Some of the exciting things that are coming out of Gondwana Collection, can you share that with our listeners and tell us what we can look forward to when we experience the brand?
Yes. So we had no more budget, so no one has budget whatsoever. And I hope my IT team would be hearing this lesson and would be listening to this, and I hope they feel the pressure, because no one had budget except our IT team. So they had budget, because in the background we also see the future. And a lot of that will be digital. So we are very excited in things that we're doing on our digital platforms. and the next few months, you know, the public will start seeing those results. Also internal structures, you know, CRM system that we implemented. So we were not sitting, you know, on our hands and sitting and crying in the corner. Well, we felt like that often, but it was hustle, 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 and so a lot of focus on the digital future of Gondwana.
Because it seems like everything is also moving in there, so rather move online and have a bigger presence there where people can easily interact with you.
Absolutely.
There are obviously really good things that we can look forward to, but what exciting things can travelers look forward to when they come through and actually involve themselves in Kondrana and just love nature?
Look, I think we've got a completely you know, competitive advantage globally. It's such a beautiful country, and tourism will change. You know, post this crisis, and we have everything. I think that the world needs in these times. We have wide open spaces. You know, that cliche. So many platforms globally rate us as the best self-drive destination in the world. You know, so to get out there, to get, and now we've been blessed with rains in the desert, you know. So we sit with a green desert. It is ridiculous, you know. We are so well positioned for the world to come and experience and to recharge, you know, and to break out, you know, freedom. You know, after the lockdowns all over the world, and we have the solution, we have the medicine.
Yeah, and after a lockdown all over the world, you want to be in wide open spaces.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that.
Sunshine.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up, but my final question to you is, what are some of the hopes for the future of Namibia that you have, especially where you were involved in the tourism industry and just in general the country and moving into Africa?
I'm really excited about the future. You know, in my role, I engage, you know, with Namibians of all walks of life. And I must say, you know, I'm particularly proud and excited about the youth of Namibia. You know, we went through some tough crises in the past, you know, few years. And I was amazed how the youth of this country stood up. And they said, not under our watch, you know, in terms of, you know, in terms of the society that we want to create. You know, in terms of, again, that word solidarity between all of us. To get away from elitism. You know, we are all the same. We're all human beings. And that gives me hope. That gives me hope. I would love for myself and for Gondwana Collection to be part of that solution, to be part of that journey. But I am truly excited about our country.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and thank you for you and your team and the work that you do in exposing Namibia to Namibians as well as to the rest of the world. We look forward to engaging Gondwana Collection Namibia even further into the future and experiencing brand new things that we've never experienced before under your watch. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there you have it. That's the voice of Mr. Gys Joubert, the Managing Director of Gondwana Collection Namibia, speaking about his history and how that interlinks with the present and where we are moving to in the future. If you have not had the opportunity to head over to a social media page, to the website, then you need to go now. And as Namibians, we should be the leaders in experiencing our own brand. So what are we waiting for? He's talking about wide open spaces and some of the best sunset views that the land of the brave has to offer. So put yourself out there and make it happen.